guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Charlotte and today I have my face makeup and my brows done already. I'm gonna be teaching you guys how to do a cut crease on the eyes. It's just gonna be a very neutral cut crease, basically just focusing on the techniques on how to create one, and it is a very fun way to spice up your makeup. So let's get started. First of all, I'm gonna be carving out my brows because that's the part that I haven't done. The concealer that I'll be using for that is the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define. It is different from the concealer that I use today. The concealer I use today is the Tarte Creaseless, but it is way too oily and just sticky for carving out the brows. So I'm going to be using this one that is much more lightweight. So you just want to take a square-ish defining brush. So I'm going to be taking this one. This is the E115 brush by AOA Studio. So just a very cheap $1 brush. So I'm going to be taking a bit of the concealer and then just going under the brows. That is probably enough for one eye, so you can just move on. Basically, you just want to create a line that is under the brows and then just carve out the shape, clean up any mistakes that you've done and make it just sharp. And the reason why I did this on camera is because this can be your eye primer as well. So just bring the concealer down to the eyelid. Priming is a very important part for cut crease. It sets a very nice sticky base for your shadows to be really pigmented. And I really like to use concealer as eye primers because it covers up the veins and any imperfections around your eye. And then just take your ring finger and just tap out the edges. So after you have primed your eyelids and carved out your brows, for beginners you want to actually set your eyelid with a bone color, and that is because that would make the blending a lot easier. If you're really good at eyeshadow, you can just skip this step because it would actually make your shadows much more pigmented. However, the blending would be a little bit more tricky. So for tutorial's sake, I am gonna set my lid with the bone color. I'm just gonna take this big fluffy brush. This is by JESSUP. This is the Luxe Soft Definer brush, the 227. Today I'm gonna take the Thirsty palette by Jeffree Star. It is very dirty, but I'm gonna take this color right here called Parched, and I'm just gonna take quite a lot of it, tap off the excess, and just go over the whole entire eyelid up to your brow bone. And remember to tap out any creases before you do this step. And then I'm gonna teach you guys how to lay down the transition shade. So taking a fluffy blending brush, this is the JESSUP 228 Luxe Crease brush. So this is much fluffier and it almost takes up like half of my lid space. So this type of brush is really nice to lay down the transition shade. The first shade I'm going to be using is this shade here called Kumquat. So using this palette, the look is going to be a bit more warmer than if you use a cool tone or a more neutral toned palette, but I'm going to be using Kumquat today for my transition shade. You can use something like from the MILANI Bold, it's very dirty, the MILANI Bold Obsessions palette. This shade is a very nice transition shade as well, and it's more neutral than Kumquat that we're using today. So now I've got Kumquat on my brush. So where do you want to put this shade is where your crease is at. So that's your brow bone. When you go further down, you can find your crease. So you want this color to be placed here. When placing this shade, you don't want to actually just go right into the crease. You want to actually go into the outer corners. So for every single shade, when you lay it down, you want to lay it on the outer corners because that's where you want the most definition, and that's also where the darker shades would be at. You want to place it at the outer corners but blend it into the crease that you found. You can see the concentration of the color is the highest right around the outer corners, and then you blow it into completely creased. And you can go all the way into here, right here at the start of your brow, and you can see it covers the huge amount of area on your eyelid. And keep building this up, but every single time you want to place it at the outer corners and then blend it in. So that's about the intensity that you want for the transition shade. You actually don't want it way too deep, because otherwise it will just look like that you're punched in the face. You don't want that. So we're just gonna move on to the next shade. So for the next shade, you want a smaller blending brush. I know people probably don't have like 2000 brushes like I do, but for beginners, brushes are actually your greatest tools to creating a look very easily. The reason people can get layers of colors is by using different brushes, and so you don't use the same brush and just cover up the other shade. So we're gonna switch to a smaller blending brush. With this brush right here called the JESSUP Small Tapered Blending Brush. So as you can see, the bristles are much denser than the soft Luxe Crease brush right here. This is a stroke in the Thirsty palette, and it is pretty warm as well. Same thing, like I said before, you want to place the color on the outermost corner and then blend it into the crease. And for this shade, because you're using a smaller blending brush, originally the area of coverage is already much smaller. So I don't want it to be too deep. It is a very pigmented shade, as you can probably tell. So that would probably do. So these two shades, you're not getting too much definition. You're just basically getting the color in. The very last matte color that I'm going to be using is a dark brown color. So this is a chocolate brown called Drizzle. And you can actually just use the same blending brush with this. You want to just tap it on the outer corner like so. You don't want to bring it into the crease, and you always want to concentrate the color at the lower part instead of into the crease. So you want the deepest part of the color to be right here. That's about it for the matte shades. So next up, it's the most important part, which is creating the lid space. With the cut crease I'm teaching you guys, it's not a full cut crease. So what we're gonna do is just to cut out half the lid space. Oh my god, I shouldn't have eaten before filming because I always burn. I'm gonna be taking this little flat shader brush, concealer brush, whatever brush it is. It is the E122 by AOA Studio. These brushes are amazing. It's like $1 each, and you can go check out my video on the shop MissA, the full face $1 makeup. Anyways, I'm gonna be taking this brush right here, and I'm gonna be taking the concealer that we used before. You don't want to switch around the concealer when you're working with the eyelid space, because it might create a really cakey surface. The same thing with carving out your brows and priming your lids with concealer. You want to take a minimal amount. So after you've taken the concealer, you even want to tap it on your hand. People like me who has hooded eyelids, very significant hooded eyelids, because when I open my eyes, you can barely see my lid. Actually, you can't see my lid. So what you want to do is to create a lid space that is higher than your double eyelid. As you can see, I just made a mark. I'm following the shape of my crease and just creating a line. It doesn't have to be a perfect line. Don't go and like do a line. You can just tap in the concealer. And because of the shape of these types of flat brush, it's actually really nice to have like this little semi-oval up there and helping you to create the line. So you just want to tap the concealer in and drag it up to your inner corner. And then just smooth everything out and pat down the concealer. So you can go a little bit higher as well, but I think this is a pretty good shape. So I'm switching my brush to yet another flat shader. This is just what I use with eyeshadows because I want to go for a more neutral tone instead of all this glitter, which is very pretty, but we're not going to use that. I'm actually going to switch to the MILANI Bold Obsessions palette. I'm going to take this really pretty champagne color right here and just tapping it in. It's not very champagne-y, but we're gonna take that, and I'm actually, let's see what the color is. It's a bit too bronzy. Okay, never mind. I'm gonna take this shade right here, this champagne shade. It's a bit too bright, but it would probably do. So you just want to tap this shade onto the area that you place the concealer, so up to the line that you created, and just fill up that entire space. So after you've done a cut crease, you can probably tell you still need some blending around this area between the shimmer shade and the darkest shade. You want to take basically nothing on your brush and just go in and like blend out the edges. My camera just died. It's okay, I'm filming on my phone right now, so the audio will be a bit different, but hope you guys don't mind. Anyways, I'm gonna move on to eyeliner. I'm gonna be using the Physicians Formula Lash Boosting Primer again. This is a very good liner. Just follow your eye shape. When you reach, like, let's say your last third of the eye, you can start pulling it out upwards and creating just a little triangle right at the end, pulling it up to a point, and then just fill in the little triangle, and then just fill in any gaps in your lashes. Now I'm just gonna work on the lower eyelid and we'll be done with this video very quickly. This is the Petite Eye Blender 223 by JESSUP, and I am just gonna be using the first shade, so the transition shade called Kumquat, and then just run it on the lower eyelid, and you want to run it all the way just up till the inner corner. This is a very nice brush for doing this, but also you can be using a pencil brush as well. And then I'm going to be changing into a smaller smudger brush. You can actually do this step with a flat shader brush as well, just using the tips. Now I'm going to be using this and also the darkest matte shade that we used just now. That's why you need to be very precise with this shade. So what you want to do is just to place it on the outermost edge up to maybe like 1/3 of your eye. Just doing a little bit of this motion, placing the color and just kind of zigzag it down so you blend it out. You can also be adding a little bit of a inner corner highlight. I'm just going to be using the same champagne shade because it's the lightest shade in this little palette. And so you just take that and just go on the inner eye corner, also on the tear duct, so it brightens up the look a little bit more. So now for the final step, I just have to do my mascara. So this is the Lash Paradise. You can use any mascara that you like. And then we're done. I don't think I have to post for this look because this video is just a very quick tutorial on how to do a very simple neutral cut crease. I don't think I'm particularly skillful at this, but I think this is just some tips and tricks on how I do my cut creases. Obviously you can do lots and lots of variations with cut crease. You can do a full cut crease, you can do a spotlight cut crease, which I have done before, I think in the painting video. I'll link it down below. So this is the end of this video. If you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up, and obviously subscribe to my channel. Click that little bell next to the subscribe button so that you receive a notification every single time I upload. And this is it for now, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye! Oh, I didn't do my lips. It's fine. It's just for the eyes. But yeah, bye.